Although we often think of George Washington as a revolutionary, his views were actually typically quite conservative, and he believed in a way of life deeply rooted in tradition from the feudal early feudal and aristocratic outlook on life that came from his Cavalier ancestry. He not only believed in the aristocratic traditions, but he also believed in the traditional virtues, and he realized his life would be highly scrutinized by historians later on. His worldview was rooted in English feudal and aristocratic traditions. Being an aristocrat meant you inherited lands. You protected the workers of the land. You entertained your guests, served your country in war. You were good at hunting and you had horsemanship prowess. He took these seriously, especially horsemanship, according to Thomas Jefferson, who said George Washington was, quote, the most graceful figure that could be seen on horseback, and unquote. He was also helped as a good horseman by the fact that he used a horse to get all around his estate. His estate was handed down to him from his ancestors. It was called Mount Vernon, and he had a passion to expand and improve it. And this played a major role as to his decisions as president, because he was part of these aristocratic traditions was to serve in the military. He did. When he was in military, he started the French. Part of it was at the start of the French Indian War. He was even the commander who started it. He was at the top of a deep glen, and he could see it down, but it was kind of hard for the French in it to see up. Someone in one of the parties realized the others were there, and they started firing. Washington's forces soon overpowered the French, but some of them escaped, which is how we know this now. His military experience also helped him make decisions later in life. He also believed in the classical virtues, also a major role. This was very evident, so much so that there was an entire book written about it. It was written by Stanislaus Sikora, who claimed Washington lived according to a number of traditional Roman virtues, unquote, that governed Washington's life. These virtues are faith, hope, love, self-control, justice, courage, and wisdom. Some now argue that there should be others, but Washington didn't, and he relied on these greatly. He made a list of 110 rules of etiquette to live by based on these. He also lived by these till the very end of his life. On one rainy day, he was making sure everything was in order before getting back to the house. It was cold and wet, so he became sick. Doctors tried to help, and they drained a lot of blood and did many other horrible things, which we now can see are not actually beneficial. This probably led to Washington's death, but he never blamed them, and when he died, he took it as a matter of fact, like he thought was morally right. However, before this, he knew his entire life would be examined thoroughly later on. He wanted to be seen as a great and virtuous leader, because he knew it could harm his public persona. He never shared his emotions, as previously mentioned. After he left the army forever, he noted it was a day like any other. He also voluntarily stepped down after 2 years as president, 2 terms as president, to set an example. After this, he went back home to Mount Vernon, and he entertained every single visitor personally. He could even have more than 100 visitors at a time. He made sure they all got treated well and were comfortable, even when he didn't agree with their opinions or views. This helps show that he greatly cared about what people would think about him later on, so they could take an example from him. And this, as well as his belief in the classical virtues and the fact that he believed in the aristocratic traditions, proves that he was not, as a matter of fact, actually a great revolutionary, but he more cared about the traditions he was raised in. Thank you.